I'd like to talk about pivot tables. Pivot tables are extremely useful when you want to summarize or analyze data, especially in cases where there's more than a single variable. If I look at this sheet here, which is a list of sales, it's a very simple thing because I'm going to divide sales by month. I'm only considering one variable, month. If I look into my expenses here, I want to separate my expenses by account and month. Therefore, I have two variables, and this is a case where I can use my pivot table. Let's go back to the sales page quickly. Firstly, what I'd like to do is I'd like to rename my sheet. So I'm going to right-click where you see Sheet. You can see a drop-down menu appears. I'm going to go to Rename, and I'm simply going to type Sales. I'm going to do the same thing for my expenses. Now with sales, I want to get a total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a quick formula. To start the formula, I'm going to click in the cell where I want the value to be. I'm going to type equals, so Excel knows that I'm going to start a formula. I'm going to type in sum. And then I'm going to use an open bracket. I'm going to type on the first value that I want, which is B3. I'm going to click on colon, and I'm going to click on the last value that I want. And then I'm going to close the bracket. So what this is telling Excel to do is to sum all the cells from B3 to B33. If I press enter, it will do it for me automatically. If I want now to copy that formula to the other cells, I simply move my cursor to the corner where you can see the small square. The cursor changes shape, hold down my left mouse button and simply drag. Let go of my mouse button and it will automatically complete all those things. So now you can see that I've got my totals for sales. The other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to freeze the top row so that I can always see what month I'm dealing with. I simply click on View, go to Freeze Panes, Freeze Top Row, and you'll see now that if I scroll, the month stays where it is. I can also format it if I wish. Go back to my, make it bold. Maybe I want to change the background to black and change my font color to white. Let me just highlight my totals so you can see them easily. And there we go. So you can see that if I've got a single variable, displaying it on a table is incredibly simple. I don't need to use a pivot table. But with my expenses, it's slightly different. Right, I'm going to start off here. This is my table. You can see I've got my date, my details, my account, and then the amount that I spent. Firstly, I'd like to change the way my date looks. Let's say I don't particularly like the look of the date, so I'm going to highlight my dates. Alright, I'm going to go to Format, and I'm just going to show you how to do a custom date. I'm going to go to more number formats. Right at the bottom here you can see custom. Now, the most common thing that I format is actually dates. And you can see that I can use D, M, and Y to represent date, month, and year. So at the moment, I want to put D. Now if I put two Ds, it'll basically put a 0 before the 1, which sometimes you don't want, but if you want two characters, you can basically put two Ds. Let's say I want D space, and I want a longer month than just 03. I want it to display March, or MAR. MMM will give me a 3-character month. If I add a fourth M, I'll get the full month. Let's go back to 3-character month. If I add YY, I'll get the 2-character year. If I add a third Y, I'll get the full year. But let's say that I just want 1st of March 21. If I click on OK, you'll see it automatically adjust all my dates. There we go. Now what I'd like to do now is I need to actually add a column for the month. At the moment, if I separate it according to date, it'll separate it according to every single individual date. I don't want that, I want the month. So I'm going to click on column B. I'm going to right click again to bring up my drop down menu, and I'm going to insert a column. I'm going to name this column month. And again, I'm going to use a formula. Right, I'm going to type in equals month, open bracket, select the date I'm dealing with, and close bracket. And you can see now, because it's March, it's going to display 3. I'm going to click on that cell now, go to the corner where you see the top little square, change my cursor into a cross, and simply double click. And you can see it automatically completes. And you can see that it's added all my months in there quite nicely. Right, we're now ready to start our pivot table. Okay, what is extremely important is your pivot table needs to be in this format. You need to have rows and columns that are complete. I can't have missing columns, I can't have missing rows. It simply won't work. It's got to be like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just highlight my entire table. I'm going to click on the Insert button. I'm going to go to Pivot Table. Now often it'll ask you to put it into the existing worksheet. I prefer to put it onto a new worksheet. So I'm going to just select New Worksheet and click on OK. Right, it now brings up this option. Now you can see that I've got fields that I can choose: the date, month, details, account, and amount. That all corresponds to my column headings. So what I want to do is I want to use the month, I want to use the account, and I want to use the amount. I don't need the details in a summary table. So now what I want to do is I want to filter it according to the month. You can see Excel pretty much does everything for me. The rows are going to be the account, and my values are going to be the sum of the amount. I can go and format my pivot table. I might want to, for example, go back to home and change this into accounting. And there we go. Now what you can see, that the benefit of this now is I can basically go and say I only want to see bank charges. And it will filter out just the bank charges. I can go and select all again, and it will show me all my expenses. At the top we have month. At the moment it's displaying everything. If I click on the drop-down list here, I can now go and select whichever month I like: March, April, May, June, July, August. Let's look at August. Click on OK. There are my expenses for August. I go back, choose another month. There's April. And I can go back and select all again. So this is how a pivot table can summarize and analyze your data for you. It's an extremely useful tool, and one that I recommend that you try. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.